Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeromy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeromy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Whole Health Weekly. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Had a busy day today. That was very fun. It was weird in Michigan. It's like 90 degrees. Somebody said it's 90 degrees it got up to, and then like 90% humidity, which was a little nuts. In Michigan, people are not used to that. So, and then just now, you had this like little rainstorm come through and like cool it right down. But all day it was like, you could feel that. The poor patients that I had, man, they were like feeling it. So hopefully you're enjoying that. One thing about innate intelligence to think about is challenging your body in those senses, right? Like, so cold, heat, all of those are the idea of homeostasis, right? So we want to be able to adapt. Our cells of our body want to be able to adapt to cold environment, and our cells of our body would like to do, to adapt to warmth, right? And so a lot of times it's actually good. It's almost a form of exercise to do cold and hot, right? And so a lot of times, many of us, if it gets hot like that, we'd like sprint to air conditioning, those kind of things. Rachel thinks I'm nuts because I always pick the days to work out that are probably the hottest days of the year. One of the reasons I do that is because I want that ability of my innate intelligence of my body, with the cells of my body, to be able to adapt to that environment, right? And so you be careful when you do those things. Same with cold, though. Same exact thing with cold. One of the stories I always laugh because it was we were visiting Rachel's sister in Canada, and something happened. They had in this house, they had like a boiler system. And so they had a buddy that was like, hey, will you check our boiler? So he comes over and it's cold. It's like, there's like 3 feet of snow on the ground. Let's say 20s or 30s, 30 degrees. And he comes in because it's off hours, but he comes in and he's barefoot with 2 to 3 feet of snow on the ground. And I always thought that was fascinating that he was like literally barefoot, and his body had the ability to adapt. He had done it many, many times. And so a lot of times when you see that, the amount of, you'll surprise yourself is how good your body can adapt to that stuff. So when it gets hot, when it gets cold, don't be afraid of those environments. Challenge your body. It's an opportunity. The universal intelligence around us is giving you the opportunity to challenge your body at that point, right? And so you be smart. The sun is, I don't understand sometimes like how intense it can be. So you got to be smart when you do those things. So don't, if your doctor says don't do it, I always say like be smart that way. But the idea of understanding, and that's kind of the same scenario, like your own, cold plunge, your own sauna. The nature literally gives you one, like in a lot of times. And it's, but we like to go, stay in our 72 degrees all the time. And that doesn't really challenge your innate intelligence. So if I stay in 72 degrees all the time, let's say you're a person that's like, they live in Michigan, stay in the summer, and then go to, Florida in the winter. Not a huge deal, but you're not really challenging yourself because Florida is, like it's almost the same temperature as it is in the summer in Michigan. So a lot of times that's what can happen. That's why it's really good to get a little bit of that cold into your veins, get tougher. That's how it works. But so hopefully this will be a good show tonight. I found a new flow, so I think you guys are going to like it. We're going to go into the articles that I found in the regular kind of mainstream news cycle that are like holistic health type stuff. And then we'll go into, the latest in, holistic stuff. So it's going to be really, really good. So let's start. So our first topic tonight was pretty cool. This one's from ScienceDaily.com. So this is a pretty good one. A lot of the medical stuff that I could disagree with, maybe, it'll be in the Science Daily because it's like the research coming right out at you. And so this one says tea can improve your health and longevity, but the way you drink it matters. Okay, so this is it's called Maximum Academic Press. This who wrote it, and it was June 9th, 2026. So tea may help protect against heart disease, diabetes, cancer, cognitive decline, and age-related muscle loss, according to a new little pop-up thing, according to a major review. But the way you drink it matters, since bottled and bubbled teas often contain ingredients that can diminish tea's health benefits. So when they're talking about tea, a lot of times you really want to be making it. Remember steeping. So steeping is the process of just taking a tea bag, leaving it in. We've talked about this on 1% Tribe, where if you're doing an herbal tea and you want the actual medicinal type benefits, you want to steep it for a longer period of time. A lot of times, let's say you say, all right, I want to try chamomile for muscle relaxation. And the internet tells you, okay, I need, 200 milligrams of chamomile. Okay. To get 200 milligrams of chamomile through tea is a kind of a lot of tea, right? It's a very big, like two large teas. So a lot of times the tea in the herbal sense isn't the greatest to get medicinal level of herbs in you, right? But the best part of of teas is that it really can show you, is this effective for me? I have a patient that was going through a lot of stuff. She had lost her son to suicide. And I just remember her heart was really heavy. And one of the best parts of my job is I get to, meet people like this on a day-to-day basis. And any kind of help you can give anybody going through something like that is good. And so, and I knew because of the herbal training I've done, I started going, me and her were talking, and every job that she's really, really good at is about helping others. And so I told her, I said, in my herbal world, passion flower tea can be really good for those givers, people that give quite a bit. They have, let's say they're doctors, nurses, people, like people that, that they're servicing others at a deeper, police officer, any of those kind of things. The passion flower tea can be pretty good. So she goes home and tries it and actually goes, that was the cat's meow. It like just mellowed her out. The stress kind of, it helps so much in just doing something like that. But so tea is a great way to introduce things for sure. And let's look at how to take it. So the biggest thing is like right now, when you say, hey, I'm an iced tea drinker, and you're drinking out of a bottle and it's like sweet tea, there's so much fake sugar most of the time in there that it's almost like drinking a pop. Okay. They put enough chemical things to make it taste good, then it might not be your best option. All right. So let's talk about the rest of this article. So the review confirms that tea, particularly green tea, plays a crucial role in preventing cardiovascular diseases, obesity, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Tea's neuroprotective effects, which is really good, right? Especially green tea. Its ability to reduce neuroprotective means it protects your nerves, okay, your nervous system. So, the ability to reduce muscle loss in seniors and its anti inflammatory and antimicrobial activities further highlight its potential health promoting properties. However, the study also identifies potential health concerns, particularly with bottled or bubble teas. This is what we're talking about when they add these extra flavors that are basically chemicals. You're negating the actual benefit from the tea. Okay. So, because now you're having these harmful chemicals that don't help you in any of those ways, diabetes, obesity, all those things, they add the sugars and the fake stuff that gets in there and causes the problems. Okay. So, that's why artificial flavors and sweeteners are bad. Okay. Especially as best as you can get rid of them, that's the way to go. So tea made from leaves like chamomile has been consumed globally for centuries. Initially, it was for medicinal properties and later for popular beverage. It has long been recognized for rich polyphenolic content, particularly catechins, which contribute to its health benefits. So there's a ton of teas, right? There's, chamomile is probably one of the ones that is talked about the most. But if you are, speaking of that, if you are not a member yet, become one and you can get this information. So if you like newsletter style stuff and you want to hear these again, maybe as you're a reader, do go to tribe1.substack.com. Also, give me a like, subscribe, and thumbs up, any of that stuff. But then go subscribe to Rumble, the prize inside a chiropractor's journey on Rumble. Just do it so I can get to 100. I'm at 80. I've been stuck at 80 for a while. But that's the goal, right? I'm trying to do it organically. I'm learning. And then the prize inside a chiropractor's journey on YouTube. So I'll put that one up. All right. So let's keep going on the tea. So the tea is key. Tea is key. It can be a very good intro to this. It changes your lifestyle a little bit, right? A lot of times we've gotten so used to, one of the things I see more than like bad food is our addiction, our complete addiction to these sugary drinks that are not good. But the food sciences have definitely won that battle. Let's just say that. It is a mainstay in many people's cars, all of those things. Very, 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 crap. It's just so addictive, and it's so hard to not have the habit of that. You're working hard, the sugar spikes your energy so you can work harder. So then you take another one. Those things are designed that way. So just remember that as you're going through tea, really a lot of good benefits, which if you've been with me at Whole Health Weekly and the Prize Inside, you kind of know that in that sense, but make it a part of your lifestyle. That is a big deal. Make it a Thursday night thing, or let's say tonight when you're listening, Wednesday night, you're going to pour yourself some tea, try different ones and see how you do. My honest to goodness one that really, I've done a lot of teas. And the one I just remember noticing was reishi mushroom. Reishi mushroom was it felt good. And so that's one I would recommend doing. So that's how that goes. Okay. All right. Oh, I like this one. This one is in Science Daily again. It's another article. This one was June 7th, 2026. And this is by the KEAI Communications Company. Okay, so that's interesting. So I'll find out. That's interesting. Okay, so the article is ancient Chinese medicine could transform hair loss treatment. A traditional Chinese medicinal root used for over 1,000 years is attracting new scientific attention for its potential to combat hair loss. Studies suggest Polygonum multiflorum can block harmful hormones, activate hair growth signals, protect follicles, and boost blood flow to the scalp. Researchers say the herb's effects align remarkably well with both ancient descriptions and modern hair biology. Let's look into this. It's called Polygonum multiflorum. So let's go. Okay, so this part. Okay, so androgenetic alopecia, which is called AJA, is the most common type of hair loss affecting millions of men and women around the world. It is often known as male or female pattern hair loss. It usually develops gradually as hair follicles shrink over time. As follicles become smaller, they produce thinner, shorter hairs until growth may slow dramatically or stop. So there's tons of current treatments, hormones, all those things, right? So we know that part. But here's the ancient root piece. Let me make sure. I want to give full. Okay, so it's just I just want to give credit, but it's so KEAI Communications. That's all it says, which stinks. I like getting the article or the author, but ancient roots meets modern hair science. A new scientific study suggests that this Polygonum multiflorum, which is a root long used in traditional Chinese medicine, may deserve serious attention as a potential therapy for androgenetic alopecia. Okay, let me look up something while we're on. I want to see what it's close to or family of. Sometimes you can get, let me see. Okay. So what we're asking is just, is there a something that's close? Okay. So Polygonum multiflorum is known in Chinese is He Xiao Wu in Chinese traditional medicine, or fo tai in the West. And it belongs in the Polygonaceae family, commonly referred to as buckwheat or knotweed family in the Western botanical medicine and botanical taxonomy. It's a flowering perennial vine. Okay, so it's in the knotweed family. Oh, this is cool. So it shares a family with common Western staples like in medicinal plants like rhubarb, sorrel. Both those two guys in Michigan actually grow really well. Garden knotweed and then Japanese knotweed. Herbally, I've heard Japanese knotweed before. Garden knotweed, I haven't really heard about, but in Western herbalism and medicine, it is classified as an adaptogen and tonic. Okay, so it's called Polygonum multiflorum. So you're going to see it as He Xiao Wu in Chinese medicine. So apparently they use it a lot more than the Western kind of herbal medicines. But now we'll know this. This is pretty cool. The big thing is an adaptogen. So remember, adaptogens are like ashwagandha, things that are overall healthy for you. And so that's really cool. Anything that's that type of herbal interaction has a multifaceted over the whole body. But that's pretty interesting that they're finding that. So it could be something good, because there's not too much. There's biotin, which has been out there for a long, long time. But what if that has no effect, right? So that's one reason I love looking up all this research, because a lot of times you get these articles and you're like, whoa, this is cool. And if I tell you now, maybe you could try it and see if it really takes off. So that's what that one is. Okay. So I thought that was good. So what is it called again? Polygonum multiflorum. Polygonum multiflorum in the knotweed family. That is cool. Okay. So let's go to this one is hit the mainstream-ish, well, not mainstream, but medical articles in several different areas that I've read this last couple weeks. So we're going to go over it. Omega-3 fish oil shows promise against type 2 diabetes. Now, there's a study out right now that says you can take too much omega-3s, and that can cause us some major issues. So we'll go into that one as well. So I want to go over the omega-3s because I think omega-3s are going to be like magnesium. There is a certain point where you take too much magnesium. If you take too much magnesium, it starts to compete with other things like copper and a lot of other minerals of your body. I believe omega-3, if you take too much, I think it will be a problem. So we'll go over this one because this is the second time we've talked about fish oil helping type 2 diabetes, which is massively important. Okay, so omega-3 fish oil. This is May 31st, and this is the Sao Paulo Research Foundation. So fish oil may help switch off inflammation-driven insulin resistance, even in type 2 diabetic patients who aren't overweight. So that is a true statement. There's quite a few people that have type 2 diabetes that don't show like they're not overweight. Tons of misdiagnoses on that one, but this could be a very good helper. So a new study suggests fish oil may help reduce insulin resistance even in people who aren't obese. In diabetic rats, omega-3 supplementation improved blood sugar levels, cholesterol, and inflammation by shifting immune cells into a more anti-inflammatory mode. So that's all I'm going to read on that because we got to go into the kind of the negative one that just came out about having too much omega-3 fish oil and why that could be the case. Okay. All right. Let me get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Okay. All right, let's see. And we'll do one more here, and then we'll start getting into Dr. Mercola's stuff. All right. This one's pretty good. Yeah, so let's talk about some ashwagandha. Okay, so ashwagandha is one that a lot of people are starting to talk about quite a bit. Ashwagandha is what they call an adaptogen, right? So it's kind of that whole body health situation where the entire body really, really feels good, or it helps multiple areas of the body. Okay. So just think of it that way. It's kind of like an overall, it doesn't specifically just go right to the liver, right? And so with an adaptogen also, it's a neurological, a lot of times you get some really good effects with neurological stuff. Okay, so this article is June 29th, and it's by Natural Health Research. Okay, so this is Natural Health Research, and it's it says the title's weird, but so proprietary ashwagandha-based herbal formula improves stress, anxiety, mood, and well-being in adults with moderate stress. So this is written by Alexa Hethorn. She's an CNS science writer. Okay. So 8 weeks. So this is the study. So 8 weeks of a supplementation with a proprietary blend. Oh, okay. That's what they're doing. So they're trying to keep a hush hush on the blend, but it's fine. 8 weeks of supplementation with a proprietary blend of herbal formulation containing ashwagandha, triphalia, tricatu, significantly improved perceived stress, anxiety, mood, and overall well-being compared to both ashwagandha root extract alone and placebo. while demonstrating a favorable safety profile in adults experiencing moderate stress anxiety. Okay, so what they're saying is this one, when you added this adaptogen, ashwagandha, with triphala, where's that at? Because ashwagandha, we know that's true, right? Ashwagandha will do that. It will do all these different things. Okay. Let me look. Triphala. Let's look up triphala. What is that? Okay. So this is why I like doing this. What is, and for my podcast people, triphala is triphala. Yeah, triphala. So we're going to look that up. So this triphala is an ancient Ayurvedic herbal formulation consisted of 3 dried fruits: Indian gooseberry, bibitaki, and haritaki. They mean the name literally means 3 fruits in Sanskrit, and it's widely used for promotion of digestion, detoxification, and a huge source of antioxidants. Well, that's cool. So they're adding more adaptogenic type properties to ashwagandha. So they like this proprietary blend was like 3 adaptogens basically. And so they took those together and it really made a difference. So that's really cool. And it's probably, yeah, they even have it. Cortisol levels reduced, perceived stress reduced, anxiety better, mood better, happiness and well-being really good. Safety, there was no major adverse things anything reported bad. Sorry. It was well tolerated throughout. So, but that's a pretty cool study, like as ashwagandha goes, they probably knew that was going to be a thing as it goes. And then I think we're good there. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, no, we're good. So after that, let's get in to my favorite piece. I got one for us before we begin. Last night I got to hang out with some awesome chiropractors. We had this district meeting, and I pushed them. I want them to come on to my podcast here and like do it with me, like on Wednesday or Sunday night. So we'll see. I'm going to push them even harder. But one of them did this philosophical talk last night, and it was really good. And it was called, back when Dr. Palmer, who discovered chiropractic, he actually coined a term, thought flash. And thought flash is like your gut. If you think about it today, it would be like your gut instinct. And what he described it as is when your gut, so think your gut, he would say that is your innate consciousness talking to you. So I always thought that was super interesting. And then Doug went through various times, like, when did you trust your gut on certain things? The amount of times you probably, did that would be incredible. So, and one of the reasons I do this podcast is because I love telling the stories. I want them recorded. So, oh God, it's been probably 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, I was taking care of a lady that her specialty is that she adopts kids with special needs. Very, very gifted lady on being able to take care of these kids. It was incredible, like the amount of work and those, because she had several of these kids. And this story happened to be kind of interesting. I had seen a few of the kids. Some of them are different disabilities than others, right? So you had some had higher functioning, and then some were not so good, right? And so this one kid comes in, and it's her most recent kid she adopted. And she just had this heart when she sees this child. And so the child's name was Micah. I remember that. And she had brought him in. And this is the reason I'm telling you is the thought flash or the gut feeling. So Micah comes in the office and adoption mom tells me the story. This Micah got abused so bad that his head got hit so hard. They don't know what by. They think it was a slug or a punch. The kid's head got hit so hard that it knocked his head kind of off. So you have your skull and you have this thing called the atlas, and the atlas is kind of holding your head up with your like hands touching like this. And so imagine, and that's why they call it the atlas, because it's basically these two joints that are kind of sitting like this, and your body, that's what the weight of the world is on this atlas, right? So this Micah gets hit in the head, and that his skull basically gets almost dislodged from his atlas. Now it's not dislodged, it's just really hurt. Okay. What happened after that, though, because when this happened to Mike, he was very, very young, like infant or something. So they don't know if the drop baby, whatever. He didn't have the ability to walk. He had muscle in his legs, but he would walk. He could only basically have cross-legged. So he looked like he was sitting Indian style all the time. Very thin legs, those kind of things. So I tell this story because the mom and I were both kind of in awe of what occurs next. So we bring Micah in and she's like, is there anything you think you can do? Like just to make him feel good, because she always liked to bring him in, get him checked. And I said, yes. And you immediately look at this child and you can see, doing enough chiropractic, you could see the distress that was there. And so I look at adoption mom and I said, okay, so, and then sometimes it's tough like this, but I said, we are going to have to do a chiropractic adjustment. And this is not an easy one because he doesn't understand what I'm going to do. Right. And we have to do something that gets, that it might make some major noise, and I just don't want to scare him, and I don't want to scare you, right? And so she had seen us adjusting kids. It's really easy, but when it's this big, it's more of a dramatic look to it, right? And so, oh no, oh sorry, am I still on? Okay, good. All right. So anyway, I thought my whole screen went blank there for a second. So as we get on there, we adjust his neck, and it makes the noise that I thought it was gonna. So it makes the noise, and very dramatic. I scare him. We're all kind of sitting back and breathing, but you can see two things happen. One, he gets scared because it's so loud. So he starts to cry, but he's taking huge breaths, like big, huge breaths in, like, he's like, I'm crying because I got scared. But then he's looking right at me like, what did you do? Because I feel different, and those kind of things. Well, the cool part was about 2 days later, I said, hey, I want him to come back if he'll see me. He would not see me. He was a little angry. So he was with adopted mom. And she comes in, but goes, look at this, Jeromy. He started walking. He started crawling. Well, not walking, but he was literally crawling, where these legs were so in like Indian style that there was no chance. And that night, she said, he finally slept with like his legs open. And all of a sudden, he was able to kind of do that, right? So it was a cool moment. And one of the reasons I bring it up is because of that innate consciousness, right? That's why I loved what Dr. Lyons last night was talking about. It was like this gut feeling is your innate intelligence cells telling you something. Because of my experience in chiropractic and just that moment in time, it's like the universe, God gave that situation to us to see what we could do. So I love that. I love those kind of aspects of things. So anyway, so start that before we get into the Dr. Mercola stuff. So here we go. So let's look at okay. So we talked about omega-3. It's like the top story right now. Okay. So we talked about how good omega-3 is. Now let's see how much we're supposed to take. Okay. So this just came out today. The omega-3 was a few weeks ago. And this is it's kind of controversial in the holistic space because a lot of people are not necessarily agreeing with that you can have too much omega-3. But let's see what it says. So it says the hazards of consuming too much omega-3. While it's important to include good sources of omega-3, such as EPA and DHA, in your diet, there's a dark side to this advice, especially for pregnant women, because too much omega-3s can be just as problematic as too little. Make sure you do this at the same time. Okay. So consuming the right types of dietary fats is crucial for cell membranes, construction, and overall health, particularly in pregnancy because you're building these little cells, right? As it significantly affects the health and development of your offspring. High intake of linoleic acid during pregnancy can negatively impact fetal development, influencing motor, cognitive, and verbal abilities in children, and may harm the placenta. Okay. So we're going to talk about this in a minute. Linoleic acid is actually it's an omega-6 fat. So don't think we're talking about omega-3s right now. So it can do a lot of harm. So think of the seed oils. Seed oils is a big one for this area. Okay. But so linoleic acid, bad. It's the seed oils. It's the crap that none of us should be taking because of what it does, and especially what it does with kids. Okay. So we're trying to get rid of those seed oils, right? So too much omega-3 though can also be problematic because there are two PUFAs. Since most women are eating many times more the linoleic than is ideal to begin with, and are beginning to be told to significantly increase the omega-3 intake during pregnancy without radically lowering the bad oils, they are all doing a radically raising this PUFA, which we'll talk about. What is PUFA? Let me find out what PUFA is. See, this is why I like doing this. I don't even know what is. I think it has. Yeah. Oh, that's what they're talking about. Okay. It stands for polyunsaturated fats. It's the type of goods fats, but it's too much, right? So you have linoleic acid, essentially is a fat in your body. And where am I at? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. So it's essentially all the fats in your body. So when you have too much of the bad fat, which is the seed oil fat, and then you start adding omega-3s, you're like overrunning the system with too much fat. Okay. So that's what they're saying. So what we need to do, it's not that omega-3s are terrible because they're fine if you didn't take the linoleic acid, which is the seed oil stuff. So you have to start reducing linoleic acid. Yes, you have to start limiting the seed oils, and the bad fats, the omega-6s, right? So that's the thing. So let's talk about it. So fats, which are water insoluble, biological, are known as lipids, are the primary building blocks of your cell membranes. This is one of the reasons why eating the right types of fat is so important for your health and longevity. Your choice of dietary fats during pregnancy is also crucial for health of the offspring, as evidenced by the research in this study in August 2023. Oh, I never gave the article name. Oh, analysis. This is by Dr. Mercola. Okay. All right. So you get the point on this article. Basically, what they're arguing is we have too much fat in our entire stream, then we're going to have issues, right? So we want to reduce, if you start taking omega-3s as the fish oil and those kind of things, make sure you're reducing the fats, the seed oils, the fried stuff, right? Because those fats aren't as good for you, and then you overload the system, okay? So that's why I brought that one up. Okay. All right. Ooh, I like this one too. So we got to talk about this because vitamin D is right now in Michigan, you got 90 degrees and it's crazy. So people are getting some vitamin D at least, right? But this one's good. This is Dr. Mercola. Most Americans are deficient in the one nutrient vitamin D depends on. Ooh. Can you guess what this is? Anybody in there, put a comment in if you're watching. What do you think this is? If you don't know, it's okay. All right, let's keep going. This one's a pretty good one. Okay. So many people focus on vitamin D intake, but without, I just had this conversation. That's crazy. But without enough magnesium, your body can't activate it, leaving you functionally deficient, even with sun exposure or supplements. Nearly 80% of US adults fall short on magnesium, creating a widespread hidden barrier that limits how well your body uses vitamin D. Magnesium acts as a regulator, helping raise low vitamin D levels and reduce excessive levels to keep your body in balance. If you have taken vitamin D and seen little improvement in energy, mood, or lab results, low magnesium is often the missing piece. Correcting magnesium levels, getting sunlight, and pairing vitamin D3 with key nutrients like K2, right? It allows your body to use vitamin D the way it was designed. So that is huge. And that is true. Many people, if you're low in vitamin D, you should honestly feel an energy boost if you get your vitamin D level corrected. Okay. The problem is we do vitamin D, but we don't do magnesium. Now we are doing both, in that sense, which is cool. Remember, too, if you add vitamin D3 and K2 together, magnesium in there. So you got 3 different ones you got to have in your stuff, right? A lot of times that will help calcium absorb into your bones and calcium find its positioning where it needs to go. Okay. So just remember all of those things when you take vitamin D, because really the innate intelligence will tell you, what you need to take. Many times, these are the things that you want to look for. You want to look for that self-awareness. If you're taking vitamin D and you're not noticing a difference, but it's low, and you get it up to normal level, something's missing. That means the vitamin D is not getting where it needs to. And that's where magnesium can be super helpful. Okay. All right. That was a sweet article. I like that. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So here is a good one. And it's about the gut stuff. So why this common issue keeps getting worse with age. Okay. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is also known as an enlarged prostate, affects millions of aging men and steadily interferes with everyday life. This condition means the prostate gland enlarges and presses against the urethra, the little tube, the tube that carries urine out of your body. Once that narrowing begins, urination becomes difficult. Common symptoms include frequent urination, urgency, waking up repeatedly at night to urinate, weak urine flow, and a persistent feeling that your bladder never fully empties. When left untreated, the pressure can damage your bladder, increase infection risk, and strain your kidneys. Researchers have long known that inflammation, obesity, and metabolic syndrome contribute to prostate tissue growth. But a key question still remains: do the foods you eat every day actually drive that inflammatory process enough to change your prostate? A recent study combined with population data, genetic analysis, and animal experiments to find out, and the result points to clear towards your plate as a major focus in whether your prostate stays healthy or begins to enlarge. Very, very good. So an anti-inflammatory diet is one of the key aspects of something that you could do on a regular to actually watch that. Now, what typically happens in my thing is like an enlarged prostate sneaks up on the person. So you don't think you have the problem, and then it eventually happens. What I suggest usually is look at your family history. Let's say your genetic, remember how that works, right? You have these genes, and those genes you run those programs of your parents, you run the programs of your grandparents. So there's a lot of very similar programming that goes on in that aspect. The big thing is if there's any prostate issues that you can know of, making sure that you're going in an anti-inflammatory route diet-wise could be really good. Now, my suggestion, I think, we should all be on some kind of anti-inflammatory. A lot of times it's a staple in some, Eastern diets, like turmeric, a lot of these different ones with curcuminoids in them. These foods like that, where it has this active ingredient that's a constant anti-inflammatory. Add anti-inflammatories to the food, right? So making sure you're eating some ginger, you're doing those things, make it a food staple that you're going to do that on a regular, right? And that can be really good. Get a really good turmeric supplement. We have a sweet one at the office. It's turmeric, ginger, bromelain, all the anti-inflammatories, and a little white willow bark in there. Oh, it's so good. So that's one I can't keep it on the store shelf that's the one I sell out the most of. Just because I push it so much. There's a lot of good ones out there, but this one from this Amish place called Chups that's really close to me, they do a good job. So it's one of those supplements or anti-inflammatory diets like paleo diet. I would say, this is probably not the place to say carnivore, right? Because of anti-inflammatory stuff. However, that can be potentially one of those. But paleo, I would say, is the closest if you want to look up a diet to go with. Most of them are pretty generally the same, though. There's not a lot of anti-inflammatory, just stay away from all this stuff. One of my friends, I was laughing. I was like, he's not joking. Eat things with no ingredients. I thought that was so interesting. Eat things with no ingredients. An apple doesn't have ingredients. A steak doesn't have ingredients. Asparagus doesn't have ingredients, right? That's kind of a good rule of thumb, right? Everything that's kind of not great for you, it will be one of those that has the problem, right? Okay, so let's go on to the next one. I thought that was a pretty good one, and this will be the last one tonight. I think it's going to be fantastic. Okay. Ooh, I like this one. So let's end with this one because it's hard to get your workouts in a lot of times, right? And so a lot of people it gets troubling. I think I've figured out my flow. Some people do their flow different, right? And so this is one super curious to me. This is Dr. Mercola again, but the surprising benefits of matching your workout schedule to your natural body clock. Okay. Matching your workout time to your natural body clock leads to significantly better results without changing the workout itself. Exercising at the right time nearly doubles improvements in blood pressure while also boosting fitness, metabolism, and sleep quality. Your internal rhythm controls energy, strength, and recovery. So training at the wrong time reduces efficiency and limits progress. Consistent, moderate exercise delivers strong results when timing is aligned with your body clock, showing you don't need extreme workouts to see real change. Workouts feel easier to maintain when they match your natural energy patterns, making consistency more automatic and sustainable. Okay. So, in that realm, many times when you're looking at stuff, like for me, I'm a morning person. Okay. But when you're trying to give as much energy as you can at the work that you do. for me, I tried to do the early morning thing, but I just had so much other like life prep that I didn't love getting up at like really early, those kind of things. Getting up super early and then working all day. And it almost made me feel almost as inefficient, like as you go. So I actually, this is workout at night. I actually I try to do it now before dinner, right? Before like get home immediately and then try to work out in that time and then eat dinner after. Or I'll wait for dinner, rest for a little bit, and then go back out. Now, the reason I do that is because two things. Neurologically, a lot of times I will watch, like let's say I'm watching a TV show. So the TV show has what they say, it's an action movie, right? I'm addicted to more action stuff, not a real I was like, all the different ones. We're watching like Blacklist right now. So those kind of movies, well, that's a sympathetic nervous system thing. Remember, fight or flight. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to watch that, then maybe I do some sympathetic and it will help with exercise. Now, my body over the years is like really liked the at night workouts to the point where once I do the workout, I will go and I will sleep so well. Where before, if I was going early morning, I wasn't getting that. Now, there's a ton of people that do really well getting the workout over with in the beginning. They're up, they're energized, they're some of their best energies there. So you just got to figure out for yourself what you are. I almost believe, this is weird, but I think a morning person, typically for work, may benefit more with a night workout, and a person that sleeps in, likes to sleep in and is more of a night owl would actually be better working out in the morning. So that's my theory, but it doesn't mean it's actually correct. So, well, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, I hope you guys liked what did we talk about? Shoot. Oh, dang it, rhodiola. So Sunday, we talked about some rhodiola. That was another adaptogen, right? So the adaptogen where it's good for the whole body like that. So that was on Sunday night. So if you are a member of the Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on Rumble, the Prize Inside a Chiropractor's Journey on YouTube, you would have remembered or watched that. If you haven't, you can go back and watch a recording of it. It was really good. A very good herb to kind of think about, so that is pretty cool. With that, just remember tribe1, trib1.substack.com. I hope to see you guys Sunday. It was super fun. Thank you guys always for improving my podcast and this live every time. I'm getting so pumped because it just keeps growing just little bit by little bit. Super proud of it because it's just one of those where I never thought I'd do this much consistency. So for me, I get to read all these cool articles, right? So, and then I get to tell you about them and see where the philosophical aspect comes. So with that said, you guys enjoy the rest of your week. And just make sure, try some tea this week. Go back to that. See what kind of tea you can try. And then, see what that kind of effect is. Trust your gut. Trust your thought flash. And then we will see you Sunday. Have a great one.